Jarrell Miller will fight for the vacant WBA regular world heavyweight title on November 17th in New Jersey against this man, an unbeaten Romanian heavyweight called Bogdan Dinu. Now, let me just make sure that I got my date correct. Yeah, it's November 17th against Bogdan Dinu. And the first time I looked at this guy's record, I feared the worst. I thought this is going to be another Arnold Jarrell. You know, one of these random, obscure, unbeaten fighters from Eastern Europe who you've never heard of before, and not from one of the Eastern European countries that tends to produce high quality fighters either. It's not like he's from the Ukraine or he's from Russia. No, he's from Romania, which doesn't produce that many high quality fighters. So I thought he's probably going to be another Jarrell, right? Well, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that he's actually not that bad. Now, let's not get it twisted. He's going to be a big underdog against Jarrell Miller, I'm sure. But I had a look at his record. I mean, there's nobody on the record of any note. Most of his fights have been in Romania and Canada. But there are a couple of names you might recognize. He's set to face Tom Little. That's October 27th. I'm assuming if this fight goes ahead that they're going to call the Tom Little fight off. The Dinu versus Jarrell Miller WBA regular title in New Jersey. They're going to call the Tom Little fight off, I'm assuming. But he's fought Nascimento. He's fought Kirsten Manswell. These are journeymen that I recognize, personally. He's fought Eric Martin Boholi. Boholi is a guy who fought Lucas Brown several years ago. And then there was this fight against this Tanzanian heavyweight who I don't think I've ever seen before, this Tanzanian heavyweight. But one thing I can say about him, having watched the fight that he had with Dinu, and it's here on YouTube, you can watch it right here, is that this Tanzanian heavyweight, Tamim, he came to fight and he gave it a good go against Bogdan Dinu. And from a technical point of view, Dinu is not bad, actually. And in fact, let's go to his box rec here. If we go to the wiki, he did have, as I say, quite a lot of amateur fights. He lost in the 2006 European Championships to Robert Helenius. So he's been around a bit on the amateur circuit. And strangely enough, here it says, before the 2007 World Championships, he was caught shoplifting and banned for life in the amateurs. Wow. A shoplifting conviction gets you banned for life? Maybe in Romania, but in many other countries it won't. Fighters like Joshua have done far worse and haven't been banned. But anyway, yeah, if you go and watch some of his fights, there's quite a few of them available on YouTube. His fight against Boholi is available, and many others, Kirsten Manswell. And yeah, Dino is not that bad. Like, technically, he looks fairly well schooled. He looks competent and he looks confident as well. It's not just the fact that he's competent, he's confident. So he's definitely not another Jarrell. He's definitely not a guy who looks like he picked up boxing last week. He took up boxing 2 weeks ago. No. He's someone who clearly has been boxing for many, many years. Just the way he moves around in the ring, the way he throws his shots. He's well schooled. He's a big guy as well. He's 6'5". Let's go back to his boxing record. Yeah, 6'5", orthodox, and he's a boxer puncher. 18 wins, 14 knockouts, 32 years old. So again, Jarrell Miller will definitely be a big favorite in this fight, but he's fighting somebody who is at least competent. I'm not saying he's going to beat Miller. I'm not saying he's going to go on to do great things in the division, but he is competent. He's fairly well schooled. And he looks confident, at least against this low level of opposition he's been fighting. Because, you see some guys like Jarrell, for example. I remember looking at Jarrell's fights before he was going to take on David Haye. And he was going life and death with journeyman. He was not looking good against journeyman. His technique looked poor. He just looked terrible all round, Jarrell. Whereas Dinu does not look like that. He does look like someone who knows his way around a boxing ring. But again, poor opposition. This guy that he fought, Tamim, he came to fight. He's an unknown guy, obviously, journeyman too. But he came to fight and he looked like he was throwing some pretty heavy leather in there. And the way that Dinu was able to knock him out was pretty good. It's what you expect a prospect to be doing in a 4-rounder against a journeyman. This fight happened several years ago. When was it exactly? Okay, back in 2011. So that's, well, 7 years ago. That's a long time ago. But I've seen some of his more recent fights. I think the most recent one that I watched was the Manswell one, which was 4 years ago. And I did see another one that he fought some guy in Eastern Europe somewhere. So it must have been one of these last 4 fights that I saw as well on YouTube. You can go YouTube his name. There's quite a few of his fight videos on there. And let me know what you think. Like I say, it's not as bad as I was expecting. That's what I'll say. Yeah, because I was fearing the worst when I saw that name and I saw Romania. When I had a look at him, it was not as bad as I was expecting. But again, Miller, still a big favorite. And if he does manage to pick up this WBA regular belt, that will give him some leverage in the heavyweight division when it comes to making fights against the likes of a Dylan White or an Anthony Joshua or whoever. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Have a read of this article. It's on boxingnewsonline.net. This is an online publication now, but Boxing News was a long-running publication in the UK, a physical magazine. Is it still going? Do they still print the Boxing News in a physical format? I guess it looks like they do there. Running since 1909. Boxing News was something I used to get every week. It used to come out every week. I'm not sure if they're weekly or monthly anymore now, but they used to come out every single week. Boxing, I think, was it every week? I'm sure it was every week, Boxing Monthly, or every 2 weeks maybe. But it used to be like a big, like a broadsheet. Was it the size of a broadsheet, or might have been the size of a tabloid? But it was bigger than an A4 sheet of paper. The Boxing News back in. No, it wasn't. Was it? No, it wasn't. No, Boxing News was a small format. Did they do a bigger version at some point? Look at me going back into the archives of my mind. No, Boxing News was an A4 black and white type of. I think it was color, but it was a mixture of color and black and white in Boxing News, and it was made out of like newspaper material rather than glossy magazine material. But later on, obviously, they've upgraded to this glossy look. But for the longest while, Boxing News was kind of like a newspaper type material. But didn't they do like a big version of Boxing News where it wasn't just like an A4 magazine style thing? God, I can't remember now. Any of you guys who remember Boxing News from back in the days in its old formats, yeah, let me know. Jog my memory for me, people. It's been so long since I read the Boxing News, but I remember it being in an A4 magazine format in kind of newspaper style paper, you know. And then I swear I remember some kind of big tabloid size newspaper. No, that can't be in Boxing News. That can't be. Anyway, let me stop waffling here, people. An old man trying to remember the past. Yeah, let me know what you feel about Jarrell Miller versus Bogdan Dinu for the WBA regular belt. It's a belt that the WBA need to get rid of. At the end of the day, it's farcical. It was supposed to be Jarrell Miller against Freza Kendo, but Kendo decided not to take the fight because he didn't believe there was enough time for VADA testing to be implemented. And he was offered 500 grand for the fight, by the way. Freza Kendo turned it down. And Kendo has been out the ring for what, 4 years or something like that? Since he fought Chigayev. Been out the ring 4 years, and he's been holding on to the possibility of fighting for this vacant WBA regular strap or what have you. He's been holding on to this for years, and he's 45 years old. And the moment he gets the opportunity for 500 grand, he turns it down. Very strange. Maybe he's got some kind of agreement with Jarrell Miller or agreement with the WBA to fight the winner of Miller versus whoever. You know, maybe that's what it is. Whatever the case may be, let me know how you feel, people. It's happening. I'm out.